So, why are goals better than resolutions? Today, we're going to take a look. Stay tuned for Prudent Money. Good afternoon. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. So if you got a question for me, please go to the website at prudentmoney.com. Once you get to the website, there's a spot, and you'll see this at the top of the page, that you can go to, a link that you can go to, and you can ask a question. And there's a couple of ways to get help. The first, just the basic email question, where the the answer's not too involved. And then you may need to schedule some time on my calendar, which could be 15 minutes or so, and we can break down the question. I can ask you questions, and we can resolve that, or I can point you in the right direction. So that's all at the website, www.prudentmoney.com. One person that I will mention from time to time this year, because he's doing some great work, and what's interesting, this book that he wrote, it's called Atomic Habits, should be in the top 5 of everybody's library. And this just talks about the importance of habits. We talked a little bit about this the other day, but he's doing a lot of great newsletters and quotes and just things that are very organized. It does not take a lot of your time. It really makes you think. He said this quote the other day: "Use what you already know. People are so busy searching for a shortcut or hoping an easier path will reveal itself, they let numerous moments slip by, when they could get results simply by doing what is right in front of them." That is one of the most true statements, I think, when it comes to money. We're so busy searching for that shortcut. I know I can apply this to what I do for a living. So you're looking for that easier path because you just know it's out there. And instead of earning your way to figuring out the answer, putting the work in, you're looking for the easier path. This couldn't be that hard. And unfortunately, that's what pop culture finance, that's what they talk about. It's how easy it is to attain your goals. Well, we're not going to let numerous moments slip us by this year. One of the things that I talked about the other day, I said that today would kind of be like a part 2 of what we started to talk about. The difference, and really comes down to setting goals and resolutions, and why resolutions fail, and a different way to look at it, which we'll get to in a minute. But the theme is a Matthew 6:24 lifestyle. In the verse Matthew 6:24, Christ says, "No one can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." And the first reaction that some people may have to that verse is that, well, I don't consciously, I always put God above money. Well, I think if you're honest with yourself, maybe not always, and there's a lot of times that we do it, we don't even know we're doing it on a subconscious basis. So I'm convinced that this verse is the verse of stewardship, and it's a lifestyle. If you can imagine putting God above everything else in your life, especially money, and that's what is to me so powerful about this verse, is that he could have said a broad category of things and covered everything. He could have said 2 or 3 things. No, he said money and money alone. That's the battle for our priorities. And money is the God with the little g, as I always call it. So that's the theme this year. That's what we're going to be discussing and talking about. Second, we're going to have a couple of goals that I want to really focus in on, because the whole idea, of course, is to grow money. And one of the challenges that I think investors are going to rediscover, because it's been discovered in the past this way, and nothing is to say that things have changed, and or will they change. There's an underlying consistency of the market, like it or not. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But the last, I don't know, 15, probably 14, 15 years have been an easy money environment. It's one of those situations, I talked about this in the late 90s, is that you could put a Wall Street Journal up on the wall, nail it to the wall, and you could, and on that page there would be stock selections. You could take a dart and throw it and hit whatever stock selection in the Wall Street Journal, go invest money and make money. It's been an easy time to grow money. But the question that I have for you today, will you keep it? Sure, I mean, we've had 20% plus years in a row in the S&P 500. But will you keep it? And that's the impression that Pop Culture Finance gives you, is that you're going to keep it. Well, you may or you may not. Or you may let go a great deal of it and then take a long time getting it back. It depends on how you react and what you do. So this is something else. This is one of the goals, to grow money no matter what is thrown at us. And I really do believe this is going to be a tough year. I know I've said that in the past, and I stand on that. Timing is not always the easiest thing, but cycles don't stop turning round and round. And this is what's important to know. So the goal is to grow money with the main priority being a Matthew 6:24 lifestyle. And so I'm gonna teach you some ways, and we're gonna drill a little bit deeper. I'm gonna do some more workshops, webinars, and that type of thing. Educational information. If you will commit the time into understanding and learning this, I will commit the time to provide whatever resource that we need. So I don't really know what this is going to look like. I just know this is what's going to guide my thinking and guide what we talk about, because it's been a long time since investors have really gone through a bad market. And all the signs are shaping up. That's about all that I can tell you. And it's important that we focus on the priority. And the Matthew 6:24 lifestyle is all about stewardship. The thing I like about referring to it as the Matthew 6:24 lifestyle is that it's a little bit more relatable. And I think it's more relatable the more people will get a grasp onto it and understand it better. Stewardship, though, I just think stewardship is one of the most powerful words in the Bible. And it's all about keeping those priorities in line and keeping the true God on the throne and not the God with a little g, which is money and all the things that it supposedly brings to the table. Now let's talk a little bit about, kind of where you start with this year. And it comes down to, for most people who will tell you, it comes down to resolutions. We talked a little bit about this. It's defined, I think it helps to define some of these words. A resolution is a firm decision to do or not to do something. It's the quality of being determined or resolute. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead, and then I'm going to come back. Resolutions are not the end-all result. I would say resolutions, in using a more powerful word to describe what a resolution is, I believe it's a habit. And it's a habit. We have good habits and we have bad habits, but we resolve to do something. a firm decision to do or not to do something. And that's the same if you take the definition of habits and the importance of habits and the habits we use. And I got to thinking about this a couple of years ago. And I thought to myself, how did I get so many bad habits? And what I need to do to change those bad habits. And your habits, you are what your habits are. It defines you as a person. Very, very important. So we take those. This is where we usher in goals. We take those resolutions. We break them down into habits that we want to resolve to do or not to do. And it's important to figure out the habits that actually support the goals we're trying to achieve. And this is the thing. Goal setting can be a complicated process because there's a lot of moving parts. There's things that, you could end up with 20 goals, which I wouldn't suggest doing that. I would just identify everything that you want to achieve and then look at it and go, okay, where do I start? Have your master goal. Some people could call it a bucket list. I don't think I call it a bucket list. No, I say it out loud. Sounded good in my head first. But I think one of the best things to do is to write out these are all the things I want to achieve and what I want to get to, and then what I have to do habit-wise to reach that. The actions I have to take, maybe actions I don't want to take. We'll get back more to that. We are up against a break. This is Bob Brooks. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Hi, this is Bob Brooks, host of the Prudent Money Radio Show. Marriage and money can be a toxic combination. The best way to avoid arguments over money is to practice this principle: show grace unless you are perfect. We all make financial mistakes. Treat your spouse with grace and love versus making them wrong and yourself right. Listen to the Prudent Money Radio Show on Bible School Radio 91.3. Prudent Money, the home of the modern-day steward movement.
This is Rob Randall, your host and teacher of the Invisible War radio program. The Invisible War is the study of God's Word on how to walk in Christ's victory in the spiritual battles we face against the powers of darkness. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 right here on KDKR and KYJC in Commerce, your station for life.
Hi, I'm Jill Taylor, inviting you to join me each Saturday morning at 11 o'clock for Choose Life Radio. You'll hear people from across America sharing their stories of faith, forgiveness, redemption, and restoration. Choose Life Radio will encourage you to fully appreciate the gift of life. You may also find help for you or a friend in need. So please join me Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock right here on Bible School Radio 91.3.
Good afternoon. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do appreciate it. And we're talking about habits versus resolutions. Just kind of catch you up. I would suggest resolutions are stronger habits. I meant goals and resolutions, excuse me. I think goals are superior to resolutions. I think that habits are what resolutions wish they were. And people aren't having such great luck with resolutions. First, a study suggests that only 6% of people keep their New Year's resolutions. A service focused on 999 participants, ages 26 through 60 of the group. More than 80% of participants set a New Year's resolutions, but the resolutions were not long kept. I would challenge you to look back of January and tell me what your resolutions are. Then there's Quitter's Day. We talked about this the other day. The second Friday in January is often referred to as Quitter's Day, when many people will abandon their resolutions, according to Spectrum Health. That's a quick give up. That's like second Friday, I think, is this Yeah, it's this Friday. That's the 10th. And, what's encouraging is people want, the intention is there to better your life. But I think it's the way we're taught to do it. This is what's exciting to me about the goal process, because you've identified the habits that you've got to develop and the habits that you got to quit. If you want to get in better health and you want to lose X number of pounds, you know that there's a lot of habits that you have that are feeding, no pun intended, the problem that you got to reverse and change. But at the top of the pyramid, you got this goal of what you want to achieve. It's just a much more powerful way. And the way that you remember it is that you look at those habits and you look at those goals and what you have to do, the game plan, you write it out, and you look at it every day. And I'm speaking to myself, by the way, when I'm talking about this. But if you don't, it's not going to take that long. I laugh. I say this: the Quitter's Day is pretty close in to the January 1st. Maybe it does. It doesn't take that long for you to lose the intention to achieve what your goals are. Resolutions that are most important. Number 1, save more money, eat healthier, exercise more, lose weight, spend time with family and friends, quit smoking. Only 9% wanted to quit smoking. And then they go through tips for keeping your New Year's resolutions. I think it really comes down to an organized plan. One that you filter your actions through. And you may figure out as you go through this process that, wow, there's a really bad habit that I have. I didn't realize that I had. And that I need to change that. And circle back around. James Clear, Atomic Habits. I meant to say this. I think I started to say this, and I went down another rabbit hole. The book is one of those legendary books. I think he's sold over 20 million copies. He's gotten award after award. I mean, it's just so many languages. Obviously a New York Times bestseller. And jamesclear.com is where you can go. And he has everything, and it's all free. Get on his newsletter, and it's just these little nuggets of inspiration that he sends out. And in fact, I've got this one that I read you at the beginning of the program. I'm putting that in a prominent place. I read it every day. And but the whole idea of staying on track is consistency in actions, consistency, and these are the habits I need to change. And then remember is that you don't ever conquer a habit. You still have to work on it to make sure that it doesn't start to slip. I get up at a crazy time of the morning to go and work out and do all the things I have to do to make life work because of my schedule. And I now have gotten to a point where I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years. I wake up at 4:15, and it's just not that big of a deal. At least that's not what my body's telling me, but my mind is telling me it's not. And I know if I've missed that time, I regret it, and I feel it. But if I decided, I just got back from vacation, and I worked out quite a bit during the vacation. But when I got home, I found myself, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something different, do something. Maybe I won't go to the gym today because I was out of my routine. So for me to keep consistent, there's certain parts of my routine I've got to keep up, even if it's not getting up at 4:15 in the morning. But just to illustrate, think of resolutions, transform those to habits, and then transform the habits as the actions that you have to take or stop taking that will help you fulfill your 2025 goals or your lifetime goals or whatever they might be. Once again, I would write a large list of that. And that's very inspirational, by the way, when you do that. And really focus on where you want to be and where you're going and that kind of thing. But as far as money goes, one of the things we want to take a look at this year is how do we set up a game plan? I tell you, it's one of the most important things you can do, and very few people are doing it. So if you want to retire in a certain way, you do what other people don't do. And I'm telling you, survey after you've listened to me talk about this many times. The cycle is that you know what the answer is. It's a plan. You put the plan together, you follow the plan, you work the plan. You know if you do this and you do that, if you take this habit and you do this habit and you don't do this, take this action anymore, and you flip it to a positive habit, the chances, the probabilities of you reaching your goals are significantly high. But I mean, and the thing about it is, when it comes to retirement, we know the actions you should take, and that's the thing, is that you want to find people that have achieved, and you want to talk with people that have achieved what you want to achieve, and find out what they did, what their struggles were, what they would do differently. You want to eat it, live it, do everything you can, and that's the key. But this is when it comes to retirement. Most people will answer the question, well, what are you doing for retirement? Well, I'm saving money. Well, that may or may not get you. In fact, I would suggest that's a low probability that's going to get you to your retirement, because you've got to be specific. You got to fine-tune the details to fit you and your family. Nobody else is concerned. It's the actions you take to fulfill your steps to get what God has given to you to become your retirement plan, or financial independence plan, whichever it be called anyway. So to answer that question, it would be more along the lines of this. So Jim asks Joe, what are you saving money for? And Joe says retirement. That's kind of the one thing probably I know people say probably more than anything. But what if you said this? Well, Jim, I'm saving money and investing that money to make a return on an average of 7%, 6%, 8%, whatever. My risk level as such is a conservative risk level or moderate risk level, and I do the next three things every 4 months to make sure that I'm staying on track with that risk level, or I include my financial advisor in there, or whatever. My ultimate goal, Joe, is that I want to retire at the age of 65. I want to take out, in today's equivalent, I want to have $100,000 a year as spent. I want to be completely out of debt. And I believe that if I save at this rate and I grow at this rate, which I think are both very attainable, I should be okay. This is what I do when I have to enact a plan B, when plan A is starting to not work out, because we all know everything goes in circles. But I feel like if I manage this process and do it the right way, I will retire. The probabilities are in. And always talk in probabilities, because probabilities, you don't know if you're going to retire or not, but you place yourself in a position to retire by taking these steps. So we'll talk a lot more about this throughout the days ahead, and make sure that we come through with some great achievement of some goals towards the end of the year. If you want to have any discussions about this, go to the website. You know the drill. Ask the question, and I am here to help. I want to help on this. This is really important. And just imagine what it would be like. What would it be like, and grasp onto that if you achieve your certain goals, and most importantly, praying about it constantly. So this is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you got a question for me, please go to the website at www.prudentmoney.com, because we are all out of time. Till we do meet again next time. Keep the faith and have a great rest of the day.
That's all the time we have for today. Questions or comments for Bob, or to find out more great information like what you've just heard, visit www.prudentmoney.com. Be sure to join Bob Brooks again for the next edition of Prudent Money.